Welcome to the 7 Habits of Highly Effective CRM Leaders. Success with CRM can certainly be elusive, so as a result, I've got a ton of content to cover with you, so let's dive right in together. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that your CRM project might be experiencing some struggles. Why else would you be here, right? And the truth is, the struggle is real. You're not alone, as you can see from these numbers, but the numbers don't tell the whole story. We have a global client. They've got a US group, and in the United States, their CRM project had failed 4 consecutive times. They brought us in, and one of the things that they told us was the European group, the EU group, had a lot of success with their CRM, and they were happy to have us interview them to find out more. So we did that. We got on a phone interview with them a few years ago, and they said, yes, ours has been very successful. In fact, we have 100% adoption of our CRM project. And we explored that a little bit more and asked what their secret was, how they did that. And they said, well, one of the things we did was we took away the ability for our CRM users to go into ERP to create new accounts. To do that, you actually had to create the account in CRM first, and then it would sync that account with ERP where it would be created. So it required them to essentially adopt CRM to create accounts in ERP. So basically what they had was a really expensive account creation process. So the stats, if you looked at these, would have shown 1 fail and 1 success, when in fact it was 4 fails in the US and 1 fail in Europe, and yet those didn't show up in these numbers. So that's my way of saying, don't feel alone. There's a lot going on and a lot that takes to make it work right. So CRM, it's a technology project, right? So a failure of CRM is a failure of technology, right? With that logic, companies then spend a lot of time on upgrades, new features, or even switching CRM systems entirely. That hardly ever works. I can tell you one of the most adopted and successful, effective CRM projects that I've consulted on recently was a homegrown CRM project built on Lotus Notes. If you don't know what that is, ask your parents. The point is that successful CRM program was certainly not about technology. It was about something else. Now, I'm not making an excuse or suggesting you go to Lotus Notes. You're here at this conference. That probably means you're on or you're considering Dynamics 365's CRM offering, and that's among the best CRM applications in the market today. Let's put this a little bit differently. I'd like to get into better shape, right? So to do that, I wear a fitness tracker every day. Now, I haven't met my fitness goals even after wearing that fitness tracker for 2 years. So technology hasn't solved my problem. More technology isn't going to solve the problem either. I've got to use it, right? I've got to access other things that the technology makes possible for me, like metrics and monitoring them and accountability and different habits and all of those kinds of things. So that's really what we're going to talk a lot about today. Now, also what you're going to see today are these little orange flyouts on the bottom of the screen. Those basically point to there are more resources available than I have time to share with you in today's session. They might be recorded webinars, they might be ebooks, they might be something else. So where you see an orange flyout, know that I'm going to give you access to all those resources at the conclusion of today's session. So quick introduction. My name is Jeff Abels. I work at a company called C5 Insight. We are a 20-year-old Microsoft partner, and our mission is to accelerate business results through people-centric digital transformation with solutions like Dynamics 365, Power Platform, and Microsoft 365. And truth be told, I kind of geek out on those things. I've written a best-selling book. I've contributed to a few others. I talk all around the world on how to use digital to be more people-centric. And speaking of people, here's the people I do it for, right? Here's my why. Okay, so we promised 7 habits. Let's go through them in numbered sequence. Again, way more to say than I have time to say it. But the idea of planning seems obvious, but exactly how you plan is often missed by organizations. So let's talk about what is a plan and why do we miss that so often? If CRM were a voyage to the new world, most plans would focus here. 80% on the boat, right? Get a good demo, maybe share some high-level requirements and get a high-level bid on the project. And then 20% of the time is spent in planning. That's mistake number 1, being solution first in your focus rather than you first. What is your plan? What are your objectives? don't be technology focused. You're not solving a technology problem. You're solving business problems, and technology is helping you in the journey, right? Rest assured, the boat is important and you need to pay attention to it at the right time. Now, once everyone piles into their big, beautiful boat with shiny dashboards that they've just gotten, they tend to take one of two approaches that often lead to failure. The first is what I just call the project plan approach. That sounds good, right? Project plans. Probably everyone has some kind of project plan for their CRM project. The idea here is that you're going to take a fair amount of time for planning, and then you're going to set sail, and you're going to be sailing straight as an arrow. You know where you are, you know where you're going, and you go there. But you haven't accounted for the fact that things are going to change a lot on your journey. Your definition of where you need to get to for success is going to change. So you're going to get somewhere fast, but it's probably going to be the wrong place. And once you're there, people are going to start asking questions around, well, where are we? Why are we here? What do we need to do differently? And answering those questions is time consuming and expensive to pick up the stakes from the tent you put down and go somewhere else. So standard project plan with a CRM project often doesn't have the agility or the adaptability you need. The other approach I see often is what I call the GPS plan. And that is, look, we selected a great GPS and maybe a great CRM and maybe a great partner, and that's our GPS, right? If we just put this into our organization and configure these tools the way that they're kind of configured out of the box, then we're going to get where we need to go. It's like a built-in GPS. We're doing CRM because we're filling out these forms the way they were designed to be filled out in the process. Now, this one may be a lot more agile than the other one, but it also completely lacks the vision you need to be successful. Signs of this, when you say things like, well, we want this to be as out of the box as possible, or look, we're pretty simple. We don't need to tailor this to ourselves much. Or look, the templates that are built into CRM, those should work well for us. And thus CRM doesn't necessarily mean dynamics, right? These statistics for failure are common across all CRM solutions. So what's the solution to this? Well, the first solution is to, again, understand where you go and where's your vision. And your vision is generally something like this, right? Unifying what you're doing with customers across sales, marketing, customer care, and maybe some extended functionality that's important within your organization. And ultimately, what you want to do is you want some business transformation, right? The whole idea is not doing things the way you always did. But what that requires is a foundation that's more than just a simple project plan. That looks something like this in the best cases that we've seen. First of all, you start with some sort of roadmap, a visionary document that says, what is it that we're going after here? Let's even name this project. Let's not call it CRM, because CRM is a piece of technology. Let's call it something else. Let's call it sales effectiveness. Let's call it customer experience. Let's call it, maybe we'll have different names as it goes through its journey with us, but let's have a roadmap specifying what projects we need to do over an 18 to 36 month period, maybe even longer if you're a big complex company. And then let's have an annual planning cadence. So a lot of people see this presentation and they go, well, look, we've already set sail, so it's too late for us to have a roadmap and a vision, right? Absolutely not. It's never too late to back up and do that. And even if you have done that, you should still be in a cadence of once a year revisiting it. Because remember, adaptability, agility, these are really important. And you have to kind of get out of the forest and see the trees again, or get out of the trees and see the forest again to know where you're going. So annual planning is an important part of this. It's a fast-moving target. Then you have your project plans. And above those project plans, by the way, running in concurrence with them is change management plans, your training, your adoption, your coaching, your mentoring, your learning programs, and your governance, your master data management, your policies, your rules, your reports that you monitor. All of those things are a part of something that evolves as your project plans get executed. And each project plan should be made up of multiple sprints. And each one of those sprints should have a consistent cadence where you listen more closely to the requirements, deeply understand them by working with your business teams to make sure you've got them captured correctly, sharing the user stories. Then you connect that to the functionality that you're configuring for them. And finally, you know what the results are because you conduct good user acceptance testing. Some of it's going to get deployed. Some of it's going to come back to be an input for the next sprint so you can do things a little bit better next time than you did this time. So much more than a simple project planning cadence is needed to make this work well. Rule number 2 is slow and simple change. This is incredibly important. Change is so hard. Let's look together at how hard it can be. Look, common knowledge is it takes about 30 days for a human being to form a new habit, right? But this research tells us the average days to form a new habit is more like 66 days, and some people take as long as 254 days to learn a new habit. And then the question is, well, what is a new habit? Well, according to Franklin Covey, people who set too many goals accomplish fewer, right? The fewer goals you set, the more goals you actually achieve. So people think, well, gosh, we're just deploying CRM. That's one thing, right? Well, inside of that one thing for your users is a new desktop application and a new mobile application and a new Outlook add-in and accounts and contacts and activities and leads and opportunities and contacts and cases and new processes for reporting on all these things and capturing your pipeline and tracking customer service requests and new ways for people to manage their time, and the list goes on and on. And yet we tend to throw all of this at our users all at once and say it's just one new thing to learn. You need to break that list down into smaller chunks. And here's my rule of thumb. If you are not cringing that you're going too slow, you are not going slow enough, right? You and your thinking in your position as a project leader, you're way ahead of your users, but you got to slow down to keep them on board and let them go at the pace that most humans can deal with. Rule number 3 is better activity management. This is an incredibly important, incredibly boring, yet incredibly divisive CRM topic. How do we manage our activities? Until CRM becomes the activity management system of record for sales and service people, you will not get full value out of your investment, period. I don't care what anyone else has told you. Having been around the block for over 20 years doing this and doing it elsewhere before I started this company, I can absolutely tell you this is a golden rule. It's an imperative. So maybe more important to think about with this is not just activity management, but good activity management habits mean taking your team from a reactive state to a more proactive state for thinking about how they do their jobs. That's good for your business, but that's very good for your people. In fact, I'd go so far as to say as a business leader, you owe it to your people to help them leverage this to become better, not just at work, but better human beings at thinking proactively instead of reactively. It's easy to get comfortable in a reactive state. And you need more than training on how to add activities and capture notes, basically how activities work out of the box. You need training and process and accountability around how to use CRM for scheduling on a monthly, weekly, daily basis, not just as a way to look in the rearview mirror to track your activities, but as a way to look out the front window to say, what's coming? How do I be proactive and manage that? And by the way, Microsoft recognizes this. If you look at this list of features, and probably more that have come out more recently since I built this list, virtually every one of these relatively recent features from Microsoft has to do with improving how we plan, execute, and learn from activities that have been entered into the system. In fact, a lot of the AI components coming out from Microsoft right now, they depend on good activity tracking for the data points they're going to use to make recommendations to your users to do things better with customers. Number 4, at its core, CRM is really about processes, but I'm always amazed at how many companies are either not using it for processes at all, or just as an optional reference and activity tracking system. Or maybe they're using it for the wrong processes. So let's address the first issue, not automating any processes at all. Why? A lot of customer-facing people, sales and marketing in particular, are very people first, not task first. And that is a good thing. You want people in those positions who are very people first, but they're not the best at thinking about processes and being consistent with aligning their processes across everybody in their organization. They need help discovering and implementing their processes. And sometimes they may not believe that being process-driven will help them be more effective. But when they align with common processes that are well-defined the right way, and it's a little different for people-first customer-facing processes than it is for old legacy processes, organizations experience these benefits. And there's many, many more statistics I can share with you about the benefits experienced. Now, they also need to implement the right processes. Most businesses focus, when they get a CRM solution, on the out-of-the-box processes that are templated in the system. You can kind of see those in the orange bars on the left side down there. They're what I call predictable projects. So when you think about things like campaigns leads, opportunities, and cases. Those are actually all mini projects with a predictable flow that you can manage inside the system. And to whatever extent you have those processes, those can be incredibly powerful. Now, if you're using the out-of-the-box templates, you might be going down the wrong path. But what I see oftentimes are organizations who are working on those things, but that's not how their business works. One example I frequently see, organizations go and see, well, here's opportunities, and here's this thing called a pipeline, and here's a process flow for that pipeline. That's really cool. We want to do that. But if you look closely at their sales model, their customers are not buying through a pipeline. Their customers are buying transactionally. They pick up the phone and place an order. They email in an order. Maybe they go to a portal and make an order. Or maybe they get a timely call or visit and they place an order at that point. Tracking those in a pipeline, that actually adds friction to the sales process. You want to actually reduce friction in the sales process. What you want is better order entry and better account management, better regular cadence of follow-up so that you're there at the right time to win new deals when the customer is ready to make the order, or at least you stay top of mind with them. Now, that's one example out of many potential ones. So map your processes and understand them and make sure you're putting the right process automation and features in place for your sales model, not for the out-of-the-box sales model. You know about integration. It's not done well frequently enough. But I also like to talk about migrate plus eliminate when I talk about integration. The overall idea is the same. We need to give people fewer places to go to get their jobs done. What does that look like? Here's how an employee at one manufacturing client put it when we were engaged with them on a recovery project. They essentially said, look, it feels like we're all marching up a hill together, trying to take this hill for the company as a team. And we got heavy packs on our back that are full of rocks. Those rocks are the applications we use to get our jobs done. And leadership showed up one day with a brand new rock that said CRM on it. And they threw it in the backpack and said, that should help. And then they walked away without taking anything out. It's just another rock. It's just another place I have to go to get my job done. It's not adding value to me. It's not adding value to my job. And I don't understand how it might be adding value for others in the company. Or what leadership said at a professional services company we work for, quote, after working at it for 5 years, our team finally started to adopt when we made CRM the one system they had to go to get all of the information about the customer because they had done integrate, migrate, and eliminate. So what does that mean? Two things. Integrate, remember there's the obvious meaning, integrating your data, right? Make the data visible, but also make it usable. So you can create follow-up lists. You can trigger alerts, that kind of thing. Oftentimes, people are making data visible just via reports that are coming in from another system. That's an okay step one, but if you need to take action based on that information, you need the data to be inside of Dynamics to make it work. Number two, integrate your people also. So many organizations say, well, we spent a lot of money on this marketing system, or the marketing department likes this marketing system that doesn't integrate well with Dynamics, or we have this legacy customer service system that's homegrown or that's third party, and so we're going to keep that, but we're putting sales over here alone on CRM, or some combination of all those things. The reality is, if you don't have all your customer-facing people tapping into a common database of customer knowledge, you're making it more difficult for your people and you're creating suboptimal experiences for your customers. Now, the migrate eliminate part is what I mentioned earlier. So what I mean by that is you might have to kill some sacred cows, some older applications that may not need to exist at all anymore or don't make sense where they used to make sense 10, 20, 30 years ago. You need to look at moving them into a CRM system. 3 examples I can give you off the top of your head. Order entry. I can't tell you how many companies go, well, order entry is really something we do inside of our ERP system, so we're just going to keep doing it there, but you know what? Our customer service people want to track cases, so they have to use both ERP and CRM to do that. But by the way, order entry isn't integrated well, so we can't really see all of our orders in CRM. Forecasting, not in CRM? Really? Why on earth wouldn't you have forecasting inside of your CRM solution? The only reason left is because people are making arbitrary gut-level guesstimates around forecasts rather than using solid, proven sales pipeline numbers by following disciplined processes around that. A third one that people don't think about oftentimes is loyalty databases. Those are often completely separate databases, or they're hung on top of an ERP system. What makes more sense than loyalty other than it being directly tied to your customer database? And the extendable Dataverse data model in Dynamics is a perfect place to put that. And oftentimes it brings a lot of other benefits, like being able to put your loyalty information out on a portal to make it visible to your customers, or on a mobile device. So when your reps are sitting down with a distributor talking about their loyalty program and plans for the coming year, they can have that information available right there. The list goes on and on, but migrate, eliminate means sometimes you're not just integrating data from another application. Sometimes you need to take that legacy application, you need to move that functionality over into your customer-facing system, and you need to get rid of the old way of doing it. I don't mean you need to necessarily get rid of ERP, of course not. That serves an important function, but you might remove some functions from those older systems, put them into CRM. Number 6 of our 7 is this one. It's simple. Leaders have got to lead. Is CRM really penetrated into your C-suite? And look, approval is not enough. Buy-in is not enough. And until recently, I was saying engagement is what you're going for, but I'm going to tell you, engagement really isn't the end goal here. You want leaders to be leading the way by example. What does that look like, and why is that important? Well, according to this reality from Harvard Business Review, you need leaders who are actually digitally strong. The term for it is digital natives, right? Young people tend to be digital natives. They're so used to doing everything on digital applications. It's just second nature to them. But us older folks, and I don't mean to say that in a belittling way, I'm among the older folks nowadays, it's a little bit steeper of a learning curve for us to keep up with all that stuff. But it's incredibly, incredibly important when leaders, managers and leaders, don't just have a digital tool, don't just have CRM, but they use it to make themselves better leaders and to make themselves better managers. Harvard Business Review tells us those companies see accelerated revenue growth of about 10%. So if you don't have this, you're absolutely missing that opportunity. Understanding that this solution, it's not a piece of technology and it's not a front-end solution. It's not a user solution. It is a business solution, and it needs to be at least as important as your ERP solution in terms of, hey, when the CFO has questions about finances and projections, CRM is part of where they go. When the CEO has questions about company strategy and customer profiles, they need to be asking CRM questions about that. When a sales or a marketing or a customer service manager is working with their team in CRM, those managers, the best cases I've seen, are actually power users. They're not just users, they really are power users. They even understand kind of administratively how some things work, so they know how to work with their partner like us or their internal IT resource to request things to help them make their jobs work better. I'm not saying those managers are administrators of the system. That's probably not good governance. But what I am saying is they are deep into it. In fact, one thing I'd tell you is among our most successful clients, many of them come to shows like this at that level, right? C-level executives and sales, marketing, and customer care managers, directors, leaders, whatever term you want to use, tend to invest time into saying, this is an important tool to me, right? If I'm a carpenter, I'm going to constantly be learning how to acquire new tools to do my trade better. And this is a tool of the trade that they need to know better. And the best are power users of it. The successful still at least know how it works and make it a part of what they use every day. And our 7th and final habit is this one, the habit of continuous adoption. Adoption is not a once and done thing. It's a never-ending story because change is almost always never-ending, or at least for the foreseeable future. When you know how much more successful this is going to make people in your company, you really almost have a moral obligation to keep getting them to adopt it, right? It's not something, well, this would be nice, I hope they use it. If you've invested in this because you think it can transform your company and it can transform your people and it can transform your top and bottom line and it can transform the level and quality of experience customers have with you, then it's something you need to take really seriously. And if you're not planning for it up front, you're going to be badly surprised. So how do you do that? Let's talk human relationships for just 1 second here. This is how human relationships work, right? At the center of every relationship is this idea of, hey, I start by listening to someone as I'm forming a relationship. And then I go beyond listening. I actually try to understand, right? I don't just listen so I can reply to them. I actually want to continue to ask questions so I can deeply understand and develop a deep relationship with other people. Then I can connect with them. Then I have processes where I'm getting together with them regularly and doing more and more. And then I know what my results are. And I continue to go around that loop, whether it's in a one-off conversation or it's a long-term view of a human relationship. I always listen, understand, seek to connect, and to know what my results are. CRM helps you to do all of those things better. We call this being powered by luck. And what we see is organizations that truly adopt this idea of being powered by luck, some of them because they've heard it from us for the first time, some of them because maybe they haven't heard it called powered by luck, but it's just intuitive. It's built into their culture. They naturally gravitate to it. Those are the organizations that constantly improve how they deliver to their customers all over the place. And they follow these 5 areas and say, how can I listen to customers, understand, connect, and know my customers better? And what are the right tools? Not just how can I get CRM to do this for me, that tool, but how can I constantly look at this and say, what are the right tools? Is CRM still the right tool? Do I need to add something to it? Do I need to tweak something within it? And by the way, one of the most exciting parts of this is the 5th part of Powered by Luck. That's what I call good luck. Luck is just what you do. Good luck is why you do it. It's your culture. And CRM actually gives you a tool to help you close the gap between what your culture is and what you want your culture to be, what your customer actually experiences and what they're going to experience in a better version of the future. Good luck is why you do it. So 5 different areas you can focus on, and your CRM project has something to contribute to all 5 of those areas. The other part of this is, remember, luck works across all human relationships, and CRM is just a tool to help you do it better and faster with your customers. Who else does this interact with? Well, I like acronyms, so here's another one for you. 4 main relationships to think about when you think about your CRM project, and that is customers, users, the business, and systems, right? The business is the bottom line, incredibly important. Systems is your IT group. Users are your users at all levels of the organization. And of course, there's customers on top of this. So you want to balance how you're working with all 4 of these stakeholder groups. Don't give one of them too much priority over all the others, or things get out of kilter. How do you do that? Well, here's a simple matrix that you can use. So if you're thinking about, we're having a struggle somewhere, we want to improve, you can look at this matrix and say, how can we do these 5 things better with this stakeholder group that we want to do them better with? Now, we've actually used this as a brainstorming tool internally and with some of our clients. Here's just some of the ideas we've developed as a starting point. And I've talked to you about some in our 7 Habits session today already. But the reality is almost everything crosses a lot of these cells. So don't get too hung up on exactly which cell does this idea go into. Get hung up on, this is a great brainstorming framework for you to think about what are our ideas for driving adoption, driving ROI, driving more success. Here's a way to look at those things and come up with some of your own ideas, or grab some ideas off of this that I've put up here for you. So we've reviewed the big 7 ideas today, and we've only scratched the surface of each of them. And truthfully, there are many other things that the successful do. But if you can focus on these 7 things as a starting point, if you're having struggles, I guarantee you're going to make significant headway against those struggles. Most of the other ideas are more of the details, perhaps important. Under each one of these ideas, there's a lot of detail, and that's why I've given you some additional resources you can get to drill deeper into them. If you've noticed a theme here in the session today, it's this. Technology is important, but this is all about people. Serving people is the only reason that every organization exists. So keep coming back to that in your planning and process discussions. People in your position these days have more influence over business and society than at any time in the future. So understand that and use that influence incredibly wisely. It's been an honor to play a small role in influencing you today. A few of the offers I mentioned to everybody earlier. If you like the idea of luck, there's a couple of books that we've put out on Amazon. You can go to Amazon to get the Revenue Engineering book or the Luck Principle book. But for the first 5 who email me and tell me which of those books they want, if you're in the United States, I will have a copy of that book mailed out to you. If you want today's links, just email me. My contact information is on the page here. And I'd love to engage with you on this. This is what we do for a living. I'm here largely because it gives me a lot of excitement to come present this and hear back from people that you got some nuggets out of it. So let me know that. But it also helps to fund our business. people who reach out to me afterwards and say, we want to engage with C5 Insight to realize some of the vision you shared here today, that's great. If you want to reach out to us and do that, that's what we're in the business of doing. We're customer and employee engagement people. We work across Dynamics, Power Platform, Microsoft 365, including Teams and SharePoint. And again, my name is Jeff Abels with C5 Insight. Thank you so much for your time today.